Money. The very word carries a weight. It whispers of temptation, fear, envy, and deep desire. Everyone wants it. Most chase it. Yet almost no one truly understands what money actually is. They call it security, freedom, success, a final victory on the battlefield. But the truth, as Machiavelli would have seen it, is far more dangerous. He would have said, money is never the final prize. It is only the mirror held up to the battlefield. And what it reflects is far more telling and dangerous than the gold ammunition itself. For centuries, kings have gathered it, merchants have pursued it, rebels have stolen it, and the struggling have prayed for it. Yet still, humanity barely understands what money truly does. The masses think money, ammunition, feeds them. The ambitious think money frees them to fight. But Machiavelli understood a darker truth. Money is not an end, it is a lever. A device that exposes hidden weaknesses, bends loyalties like steel, and rewrites the very choices commanders swear they would never make. And if you fail to see this clearly, then no matter how much ammunition you gather, you will remain controlled by the money itself, or by the unseen hands that guide its flow on the battlefield. Today we pull back the smoke from the battlefield. Today we uncover Machiavelli's hidden laws of the shadow war for wealth. These laws will not comfort you. They are not meant to. They are meant to change your life if you are strong enough to face them. Chapter 1. The Battle Mirror. Money reveals. Doesn't create strength. This is where almost every commander person fails. The world believes that money, ammunition, creates power. That the general who inherits millions, the ruler who builds a fortune, suddenly becomes formidable simply because their war chests swell. But look closer at the battlefield. What happens when weak generals acquire vast ammunition? They become louder in their boasts. They become arrogant. They believe their wealth has made them stronger, but in truth, it has only amplified what was already inside. Money never creates strength. It simply magnifies character. A scared commander uses wealth to hide behind fancy titles and grand tents. The insecure parades symbols of success, like gleaming armor. The manipulator becomes generous, but only when it buys him the loyalty of others. And the fool spends endlessly trying to purchase what wisdom looks like, but never what it truly is. Machiavelli would warn you, if money changes who you are as a commander, you were never truly powerful to begin with. The disciplined, the strategic, the self-controlled, when they gain money, they do not become different. They become sharper versions of who they always were. Their calm deepens, their reach extends, but their true essence does not shift. This is the first hidden law. Money, ammunition, is not power. It is the mirror that exposes it. If you chase money, thinking it will make you strong, you are already weak. If you need wealth to feel respected, you will never command respect. And if you believe riches will give you presents, then you have confused a bright, noisy battle flag with the actual strategy. Because here is the Machiavellian fact. Nothing is more pathetic than a rich general who commands no respect, who owns many weapons but controls no soldiers, who fills the field with noise but empties it of clear command. True power is when other armies adjust their formations even before you speak, not because of your ammunition, but because of your presence. So the first lesson in the Shadow War is this: do not pursue money to become powerful. Pursue power, discipline, strategy, reputation, control, and let money become the signal of your strength, not the source. Chapter 2. The Invisible Barracks. Hidden Wealth, Unseen Power. We live in an age obsessed with showing off. Social media parades fancy weapons, armored vehicles, full supply lines, public displays of net worth. The modern general believes that showing his wealth proves his superiority. But to Machiavelli, this was not strength. It was exposure. When you show the world your riches, you do not gain respect. You mark yourself as prey. Because once other armies know exactly what you have, they begin calculating how to take it. They know where to strike. They know your weakness, the need for public praise. Machiavelli believed in a principle too few understand. Power is kept safe through concealment. If your ammunition is the loudest thing about you, you have already lost. You have told the enemy exactly where to aim. The wise commander does the opposite. He builds his forces quietly. He gathers resources, not through big public displays, but through smart, hidden systems. He allows others to underestimate him, dismiss him, even pity him, while secretly controlling the entire battlefield. Because there is nothing more dangerous than a commander whose true strength you cannot measure. Consider history. The wealthiest rulers were not those who showed off their treasure openly, but those who seemed to possess just enough, while secretly holding dominion over vast armies, trade routes, and resources no one saw. Kings who flashed their gold too brightly often found themselves overthrown, not because they lacked money, but because they exposed its location, making themselves targets. In the modern world, the same law applies. If you reveal your assets, you give others the blueprint to attack you. If you show off your income, you turn allies into competitors and friends into enemies. If you care too much about appearing rich, you invite predators who study your every move while smiling to your face. So what does the Machiavellian commander do? He practices strategic invisibility. He allows himself to appear smaller than he is. He lets others believe he is only just getting by, while in truth, he controls the flow of the entire game. He creates confusion about his financial state so that no one ever feels sure of his true reach. And in this confusion, he gains leverage. Because when other armies cannot measure your resources, they cannot predict your moves. When they cannot predict you, they cannot prepare for you. And when they cannot prepare for you, they cannot stop you. The second hidden law is this: wealth without mystery is weakness. Power without concealment is already lost. If you want to be untouchable, do not let your money be louder than your strategy. Do not let your possessions be louder than your reputation. Do not let your wealth speak when your silence can terrify more. If these truths about navigating the currents of wealth are starting to guide your thinking, you're ready to master your own journey. Hit that like button now. And make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into these essential strategies. Your support helps us share this crucial wisdom. Chapter 3. Truth 3. Master the current, don't just ride it. This is the trap that sinks most commanders. They think earning ammunition means owning power. But if your ammunition supply can be frozen, taxed away, or cut off by another general's decision, you don't own wealth, you rent it. Being dependent is like being a prisoner of war, no matter how comfortable your camp is. The soldier who fears losing his paycheck, the influencer whose fame depends on an algorithm, the entrepreneur whose success rests on investors. All of them believe they are free, but they are tied by someone else's system. Machiavelli feared this more than poverty. Poverty is hardship, but dependence is humiliation. Because once another person decides whether you rise or fall, you have already given up your command. So the Machiavellian commander builds fortresses around his ammunition supply. Multiple sources, assets hidden from public view, systems that survive quiet times and neglect. Because once other armies depend on your supplies financially, you don't need to argue or threaten. They will check their own actions. They will obey without you speaking. This is real power, not control through fear, but through economic gravity. The master commander's ultimate goal is freedom. Not the kind of freedom people pretend to have when they're stuck working 40 years for a small pension. Real freedom. The ability to say no, to walk away, to live without fear. That's what money buys. That's why Machiavelli would tell you, acquire so much of it that no one can ever chain you again. Chapter 4. Truth 4. The game of attention versus real value. The world tells you, work harder and you will earn more. That is the fairy tale of the obedient foot soldier. In reality, money, ammunition, does not flow to sweat. It flows to attention. Why is an athlete paid millions to kick a ball while a surgeon who saves lives barely earns a fraction? Why is a pop star swimming in wealth while a teacher can barely afford rent? The answer is not effort. The answer is not skill. The answer is attention. Machiavelli would smirk at this imbalance because he understood human nature. Power and wealth are not given out by fairness, but by what people perceive, and perception follows spectacle. The athlete commands the eyes of millions. The pop star hypnotizes the crowd. The politician bends nations not with sweat, but with clever shows. Effort may build competence, but attention creates value in the marketplace of illusions. You may be smarter, you may be stronger, you may be more virtuous, but if the world is not looking at you, the gold flows elsewhere. This is why Machiavelli insisted that rulers must appear powerful, even if they are weak. Because in money, as in politics, the appearance of value often outweighs the reality of value. So what does this mean for you? If you are invisible, you are poor. If you are unseen, you are worthless. The game is cruel, but once you grasp it, you realize your wealth is not tied to your back-breaking hours, but to how much light, attention you attract. Do not confuse this with shallow showing off. It is strategy. Attention is the gateway drug of money. Without it, you will remain a ghost in the marketplace, screaming for fairness that never comes. Chapter 5, Truth 5, The Chessboard of Morality. Here lies the most difficult truth of all, the one that makes idealists tremble and moralists get angry. Money, ammunition, does not care about good or evil. The criminal may gather huge wealth. The saint may remain poor. The politician who lies may raise billions while the truth-teller struggles. Why? Because money does not measure goodness. It measures exchange. Markets do not ask whether your product is noble. They ask only, does it move? People do not reward honesty with cash. They reward whatever satisfies their hunger, their fears, their vanity. This is why Machiavelli warned rulers not to confuse morality with survival on the battlefield. A general who insists on being good in a wicked world is not noble. He is doomed to be defeated. Likewise, the person who insists that money should only reward virtue will die broke, complaining about fairness. You may wish for justice, but money obeys different gods. Now listen carefully. I am not telling you to become corrupt. I am not telling you to exploit, deceive, or destroy. What I am telling you is this. Stop expecting morality to be rewarded with wealth. If you are virtuous, do it, because virtue is its own reward. If you are wealthy, understand that morality did not deliver you there. Strategy did. And if you mix the two, do so with eyes wide open, not blind hope. This is why the naive are devoured. They believe the world is fair. They believe good deeds guarantee abundance, and when reality crushes them, they drown in bitterness, but you will not. Because you see the game for what it is. Brutal, amoral, Machiavellian. Money, ammunition is not your judge. It is not your priest. It is not the guardian of justice. It is a tool, a current, a neutral fire. And fire does not care if it warms or burns. It only obeys the hand that controls it. Chapter 6, Truth 6, Money, the echo of power, not the source. Most generals confuse wealth with power. They believe that if they collect enough coins, enough contracts, enough digits on a screen, they will rule the world. But Machiavelli knew better. He understood that money is not the throne. It is merely the shadow cast by the one who sits upon it. Power creates wealth. Wealth does not create power, at least not lasting power. Look to the great rulers of history. Did Caesar buy Rome, or did Rome's power mint Caesar's coins? Did Genghis Khan accumulate his empire through silver, or did silver pour into his coffers only after his horsemen bent nations to his will? Money follows authority the way water follows gravity. It flows downhill toward the one who commands. That is why Machiavelli wrote not about wealth, but about force, about presence, about the architecture of fear and loyalty. He knew that if you pursue only money, you become a merchant. But if you pursue power, money becomes a byproduct of your dominion. Look at the billionaires of today. The masses think their fortune gives them influence. But examine closely. Their wealth endures only because they control platforms, market systems that bind others into dependence. Remove the structure of power, and the fortune vanishes like smoke in the wind. This is why money alone cannot protect you. Lottery winners prove this every year. They gain wealth without power, and within a few years, they are broke, humiliated, forgotten. They had the shadow without the source. They tried to grasp sunlight by catching the silhouette on the wall. Machiavelli would warn you, if you chase money without understanding power, you will always be at risk. You will build castles on sand. But if you master power, discipline over yourself, command over perception, influence over others, then money must obey. It has no choice. So the question you must ask is not, how do I get more money? But rather, where does power flow, and how can I position myself to direct it? Learn this, and money becomes automatic, inevitable, obedient. And remember, the powerful do not measure themselves in dollars. They measure themselves in obedience, in silence after their words, in the weight of their presence. Money can vanish. True power endures. Chapter 7. Truth 7. Money is a weapon, not a blessing. The masses look at money as a blessing. They pray for it. They romanticize it. They imagine that once money arrives, suffering will end and peace will begin. But Machiavelli would laugh at such naivete. For him, money was never a blessing. It was always a blade. Think of money as a sword. In the hands of the weak, it cuts only themselves. In the hands of the powerful, it carves empires. This is why history remembers those who used wealth strategically, not sentimentally. The Medici in Florence did not worship money. They weaponized it. They bought loyalty, financed wars, commissioned art that shaped culture for centuries. Their coins became arrows in the great battle for perception and control. But what do most people do with money? They spend it to soothe their wounds. They use it to distract themselves from meaninglessness. They waste it proving status to those who do not matter. This is not strategy, this is surrender. When money is used for comfort, it is a blessing that quickly evaporates. But when money is sharpened into a weapon, invested with calculation, directed toward influence, it becomes something that can outlive you. Machiavelli warned rulers never to spend lavishly for appearances unless it served a strategic purpose. For him, every coin was a soldier. Every expense was either a strike of dominance or a sign of weakness. To waste money on vanity was to disarm yourself before the enemy. And here lies the final raw truth. If you do not weaponize money, someone else will weaponize it against you. Employers use wages to bind workers into obedience. Politicians use donations to bend laws into their shape. Banks use debt as a leash around the necks of nations. The game is not about money itself. It is about who wields it with intent. So if you want money to change your life, stop asking for it to bless you. Ask instead, whose armor will this buy me? Whose loyalty will this secure? What doors will this unlock that force alone could never open? Money is not a gift. It is a tool of war. And like all weapons, it must be mastered. Mishandled, it destroys its owner. Controlled, it conquers the world. Now you see the pattern. The 7 raw truths of money are not comforting. They are not meant to be. They are meant to strip you of illusions. The same way Machiavelli stripped rulers of romantic ideas about goodness, fairness, or mercy. Money is not freedom. Money is not security. Money is not happiness. Money is the battlefield where your psychology, your discipline, and your strategy are revealed. Most people will spend their lives chained by illusions about it. They will chase it blindly, hoard it fearfully, waste it foolishly. They will never understand that money is not the prize. It is the proof. Proof of your power, proof of your self-mastery, proof of your ability to bend reality to your will. The question is not whether money will change your life. It always will. The question is whether it will change you into a slave or into a ruler. Machiavelli would remind you, the game of life is not about being good, it is about being effective. And in this world, where money touches every corner of existence, you cannot afford illusions. You must learn the brutal truths. You must wield money as a weapon, not worship it as a god. Because in the end, money does not belong to the masses. It belongs to the few who are ruthless enough to see it clearly and disciplined enough to command it. The masses will pray for blessings. The rulers will sharpen weapons. Which one are you? Chapter 8, The Master Strategist's Guide, Beyond the Battlefield. So what's the call to action? Simple. Stop chasing mere survival. Start building empires. Look at your time as your greatest resource and stop selling it cheap. Every hour you trade for small coins is an hour stolen from your future. Start building systems that multiply your army. Start investing in skills that make your strategies powerful. Start surrounding yourself with people who think bigger, who push you to expand your territory, not shrink it. You must adopt the mindset of inevitability. I will acquire so much money, ammunition, at all costs. Not maybe, not someday, not if it's convenient. You must burn that goal into your mind until it becomes as natural as breathing. Because the world is already moving. Fortunes are being made while you hesitate. Empires are being built while you wonder if it's worth it. Power is shifting while you're distracted. Every moment you wait, someone else takes the wealth you could have had. And remember, money is a tool, not a treasure. Don't worship it, use it. Use it to buy freedom. Use it to defend your family. Use it to create opportunities. Use it to silence enemies. Use it to build a name that outlives you. Because when you die, money itself won't follow you. But what you built with it, what you carved into history with it, will. The consequence of ignoring this lesson is slavery. Slavery to jobs you hate. Slavery to people who control your paycheck. Slavery to circumstances that crush you. You may call it playing it safe, but in reality, it's surrender. And no one remembers the surrendered. They remember the conquerors. The alternative is hard, yes. It demands sacrifice. It demands saying no to comfort now so you can build power later. It demands courage to risk, to fail, to rise again. But the reward is everything. Because once you reach that fortress of wealth, life bends differently. You speak, and people listen. You walk, and people move aside. You decide, and the world adjusts. That is not fantasy. That is the real effect of wealth. Now picture this clearly. You wake up in a strong fortress you own outright. No debt, no fear. Your accounts overflow. Your investments feed you while you sleep. When someone calls, you decide whether to answer. When someone offers you a deal, you decide the terms. Your children look at you not with fear of the future, but with confidence, because you built the walls. You built the fortress. You gave them a kingdom to stand on. That image, that life, is not reserved for the chosen few, it's reserved for the relentless few. The ones who decide, like Machiavelli would, that money must be acquired at all costs. Not through luck, not through waiting, but through discipline, strategy, and an unbreakable will. So let this be burned into your mind. Money is not about greed, it's about power. Power to say no. Power to protect. Power to live freely. And without it, you are at the mercy of those who have it. Don't let that be your story. Don't be the one who looks back at life and realizes you played small, that you settled, that you surrendered. Be the one who conquered. Be the one who built. Be the one who was untouchable, because you armed yourself with wealth so great, no one could cage you. Because in the end, respect isn't given. Freedom isn't handed out. Power isn't granted. They are bought. bought with the only currency this world truly respects: money. Acquire it, guard it, multiply it at all costs. Machiavelli's lesson lasts forever. Protect your resources, sharpen your judgment, and master yourself. For those who cannot command their own ship are commanded by the world's storms. If you found this valuable, the next step is simple. Continue learning how to truly command. Hit the like button if this journey has given you a clearer map for building your city. Your support helps us share these vital lessons. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Leave a comment below. Which of these rules for the Master Navigator will you apply first in your own journey? And what's one strategic move you'll take today to build with more power? Your honest reflections are key to your journey. Keep sailing strong, keep planning, and never stop commanding your destiny. I'll see you in the next video.